Hey everyone, this is Brian again and welcome back to How To Franchise. This week, we're taking a deep look into the jungle with our thermal vision goggles so I can show you How To Predator. I'm going to be focusing mainly on the main Predator films, so none of the AVP crossover films, but I do plan to do those in the future as well as the Alien films. The legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a commando known as Dutch, as he and his commandos are called in by Dutch's old friend Dylan, played wonderfully by Carl Weathers. And you know I have to show this.
Dylan! You son of a bitch.
God damn, I wish I could be that hunky. Let's see that again. Anyway, Dylan has called in Dutch's team in order to go look for some insurgents in the South American jungle. The team successfully finds the insurgents, and in one of the most macho one-liner filmed action scenes ever,
Stick around.
they do their thing. It's an action movie, of course. It's great. Anyway, after the insurgents are dealt with, they find a girl named Anna. The strange thing about Anna is that she's not frightened by the men who have taken her captive. She's frightened of something in the forest. Tensions are also running high among the team as Dylan wasn't entirely truthful with what they were doing in the jungle. But there is something watching them. Of course, as the movie progresses, Dutch's team gets killed off, and we're slowly given little bits of details about what it could possibly be. We're given enough details to figure out that the Predator is an extraterrestrial who has come to Earth purely for sport. He is the hunter of man. Because the Predator is hunting for sport, it doesn't kill Anna because she is unarmed. Instead, we follow Dutch as he learns his enemy weaknesses, such as not being able to see his heat signature while covered in mud. We get a climactic final battle whenever Dutch uses his wits and the jungle in order to make the Predator the prey. Unfortunately for him, the Predator is a sore loser and blows himself up. Anna arrives with a helicopter in order to pick him up, and the movie ends. To be honest, there's not a lot to say about The Predator. It's a great action movie. It's a great sci-fi action movie. It's just a great movie overall. You have some of the best supporting characters in a film like this I think we've ever gotten. Sure, there's not a lot to them, but damn, does every single one of them give you an impression. I could honestly see every single one of these guys possibly being a leading man in their own action film. It's great. It's also a quintessential Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I mean, you have got him at his peak with all the one-liners and just how just ripped he is, dude. Oh, God. I love me some Arnold Schwarzenegger any day of the week.
Get to the chopper!
Of course, the real star of the movie is the Predator. I mean, it is just a technical marvel to look at. I love how the little mandibles move. I love the sort of culture that they're able to establish in a very short amount of time from this movie. You completely understand everything the Predator is doing by the end of the movie, and there honestly didn't need to be a sequel, but I'm glad we got him because the Predator is just so damn intriguing. My boy Stan Winston knocked it out of the park again. I'm not sure how involved he was in this film. I know he was involved somewhat, but pretty much everything in this film, excluding some of the camouflage and the laser blasts, all of it holds up today. Like, damn, it is a sci-fi classic. In the not too distant future of 1997, another Predator has arrived on Earth, but instead of the jungle, he has arrived at the blood-ridden streets of Los Angeles. This is where Michael Harrigan and his team, including Jerry Lambert, played by the oh so great Bill Paxton. Rest in peace, dude. Like, sound off. It's a wrong hand. I'm so sorry, Bill. Anyway, They are fighting on the streets of Los Angeles against just the most heavily armed drug cartels I've ever seen. Like, good Christ. The Predator makes his presence known whenever he attacks a Colombian drug cartel and just annihilates them. Like, in the first movie, it was kind of believable that the Predator didn't get very hurt during the big gunfight scene, but the Predator was in close quarters during the scene, so I don't see how it didn't get shot at some point, because that entire room is annihilated. Following the trail of bodies, one of Harrigan's friends, Danny, finds out the Predator's new hangout. Teehee. This of course gets Danny killed, which sets Harrigan on a blood path to getting justice. Jerry gets killed after an altercation on the subway, but it leaves Leona alive after scanning to see that she's pregnant, giving us another clue about the Predator's sort of honor code. After some pretty pointless shenanigans with government agents, though, you gotta give it to your boy, Gary Busey, to add that little bit of extra crazy to a movie. Harrigan acquires one of the Predator's weapons, this sort of weird disc thing that cuts good, and he uses it to pursue the Predator to his spacecraft, which is in an underground chamber underneath Los Angeles. After a fun little alien cameo, Harrigan defeats the Predator in one-on-one combat, and just when it seems like Harrigan is about to be taken out by the rest of the Predators, they let him go because he's proven himself worthy. He killed one of them in one-on-one combat, and he has earned the respect, once again giving us a clue into the sort of culture that the Predators have, which I just find fascinating. I love it. This scene does more for me than half of the Predator stuff in the later films has done. A lot of people do like to rag on Predator 2, and I get it. There's a lot of things that this movie does wrong that were arguably better in the first, but I still think it's a really fun movie. It didn't necessarily use its whole city locale, like the Steel Forest, Iron Forest, however you want to say it. It didn't use that to the fullest extent, which is kind of disappointing, but I can live with that. I also like how this movie does expand on the sort of culture of the Predators and how they operate, and how, they didn't kill a pregnant woman because there's no honor in that and things like that. I want to see a movie that delves more into that but doesn't totally remove the mystery. Honestly, there's just way too many freaking people in this movie to really go over any sort of characters at all. So basically, all you need to know is that a group of soldiers, mercenaries, yakuza, a psycho killer, they've all been kidnapped from planet Earth and dropped onto an alien hunting zone in order to be hunted by the Predators. That's right, this movie takes place in space, so this is the first off-world Predator movie, and I like the idea. This film also introduces a sort of class system to the Predator species, with the Predators that we have been seeing in the previous films being the smaller variety, and the Predators that we see in this movie, they have a specific name, but for now we're just going to call them Super Predators. 3 Super Predators are holding an old Predator captive, and the human characters have decided to let that one free, thinking that this one will help them escape. And that's pretty much the movie. There is the subplot about the dude named Noland who has been surviving on the Predator planet for several seasons, as they call it, but it doesn't really go anywhere, so there's not much to talk about. The film ends on a cliffhanger with the 2 surviving cast members, Royce and Isabel, seeing the next hunting victims being dropped in from the sky, implying that more Predators would eventually show up for a sequel. But we never got it. I probably sound more negative than I intend to be with this one, but really it's just the fact that I found this movie really unremarkable. The casting feels off, just a lot of things about it don't really mesh. In the original film, every single person was part of a team, and so they all interacted with each other and worked really well with each other. Whereas this one, there is sort of this air of mistrust among every single character. And yeah, that works, but to a certain point, it's just like, oh, no one likes each other. And, you know, that's definitely understandable, but from a movie-going experience, it's not entirely enjoyable. Plus, the movie is set on an alien planet, but it doesn't do anything with it. It's just a jungle. This movie could have just as easily been set on Earth, and it would still be the same. The next installment to the Predator franchise is simply known as The Predator, and from what I understand, it's being pushed forward to August 2018, which kind of sucks. Anything about this new film except who made it and who's in it, and the director is Shane Black, who was in the original. I'm not entirely familiar with all the films he's done, but I know he did some major rewrites for Predator, so if he was able to polish up the script of the original Predator to make it, you know, a classic, I feel like there's going to be at least something good in this new one. I mean, it's a Predator movie. I'm excited anyway. And that about sums it up. Find some mud in order to hide in, or else the Predator will find you and you won't be able to watch next time. Bye-bye, everyone.